Hello everyone and welcome back to GEMNIC Science. In this tutorial we dive into the anatomy and function of a pectoralis major and minor. Here we have our roughly sketch of pectoralis major, and here we have our pectoralis minor. Notice that the pectoralis major is a large fan-shaped muscle located on the chest, and it is one of the most prominent muscles of the anterior chest wall, giving strength to the chest. And notice that the pectoralis major have three parts. The last but not the least, here we have the abdominal, which is closer to the abdominal head. So the clavicular head is originated from the clavicle, and here we have the sternal head, which is originated from the sternum and costal cartilage of the upper rib. Let's take a very quick review on this important structure. Let's say here we have our C5 nerve, and here we have our C6 nerve, and this is C7 nerve, and let's say here we have our C8 nerve, and let's say here we have our T1 nerve. Here we are going to have our pectoralis minor, which is beneath the pectoralis major, and here we are going to have our xiphoid process. And here we are going to have our sternum. And here there is a line that divides this, because this is the manubrium. And this is what we call the manubriosternal junction or sternal angle. Notice that this is our pectoralis major, as the name suggests, major and minor. So basically, the major is bigger than the minor. And this is our ribs. You see ribs. Now let's go back to our pectoralis major. So what is the function of this pectoralis major? So to make things ridiculously easy, let me take you a little bit back. From the definition, we said the pectoralis major is a large fan-shaped muscle. Large fan. Fan is F-A-N, like hand fan, because of the shape, the way it resembles. So the function is going to be fan, F-A-M. Notice that the F simply stands for deflection, and A simply stands for adduction. When we said adduction, example like I'm adducting a baby. I hope you understand what I mean. And the M simply stands for the medial rotation to shoulder joint. Medial rotation. So notice that when we talk about deflection, this simply move the arm forward. So in this case, we can say the pectoralis major plays a crucial role in movement like PTH when it comes to flexion. PTH. It's important for you to note this one and write it down. This P simply stands for pushing, and T simply stands for throwing. And here we have H, like hugging someone you love. So to make it easy, I will take it once more. We said the function of the pectoralis major is simply for flexion, adduction, and medial rotation to shoulder joint. This is the third. There is three number, which is 1, 2, and here we have the third one. And when we talk about flexion, we're simply moving the arm forward. Example of movement that has to do with the flexion, we have things like pushing, throwing, and then hugging. So when it comes to pectoralis minor, this is where things get juicy. If you notice, I draw this arrow indicating that the pectoralis minor is beneath the pectoralis major. So a simple definition to it, we can say the pectoralis minor is a thin triangular muscle that is underneath the pectoralis major. So, and notice that the pectoralis minor, as the name suggests, is smaller than the pectoralis major. And this is what we call the scapular bone, also called the shoulder blade. So I'm going to drop the link down below in the description section that talks more about the scapular bone. Despite the size of the pectoralis minor, what it simply does is stabilize the shoulder. So, and there is something which you need to understand at this point. That is what we call origin and insertion. Origin and then insertion. So notice that the pectoralis, or let me say the origin of the pectoralis minor, is originated from third, fourth, and fifth ribs, which is from here. We have the third, fourth, and fifth. What about the insertion? So notice that the pectoralis minor is inserted into the coracoid process of the scapula, which is this point, coracoid process of the scapula. And if you could remember, we said the function of the pectoralis major, we said, is PTH, right? Pushing, throwing, and this is some of the function. And for the pectoralis minor, the function is going to be, notice that the deceleration. Since after pectoralis minor, the next thing you see is scapula. So basically what I'm trying to explain here is this: pectoralis minor has a lot of things that has to do with the scapula. So depression of what? Depression of the scapula. What about the P? The P simply stands for protraction. The same thing, protraction of what? The scapula. And here we have the S, which is stabilization. Still, we are not running away from the scapula. Stabilization of what? Of the scapula. Scapula. So notice that when we said like stabilization of the scapula, we're simply talking about keeping the shoulder blade in position. And when we talk about depression of the scapula, we're talking about to move the scapula forward. And protraction of the scapula, which is to move the scapula forward, aiding in pushing or reaching motion. So now that we have seen both function of the pectoralis major and minor, what about their nerve supply? Notice that both pectoralis major and pectoralis minor are being by what we call the blood, and that is the plexus, which is the network nerve and the shoulder region. More especially on the posterior section of C8 is the brachial plexus. And here we have the division of anterior and posterior division. Then we're going to be looking at the anterior division. Notice that the anterior division is the one that gives rise to ulna. And here we have coming out of some special branches, which is on the medial cut, which is the medial pectoral nerve. And this medial pectoral nerve is the one that gives rise to pectoralis minor. If you could remember in the beginning of this video, we'll take a very quick revision where we call this to be our, starting from T1, C8, C7, C6, and let's say here to be our C5. And notice that since we said our C8 is going to be at this point, then our T1 is going to be somewhere around here. So a very quick review again. We said both pectoralis major and pectoralis minor are being supplied by the pectoral nerve, and this is why the pectoral nerve is on the medial cord of the brachial plexus. And these are critical for movement of the shoulder and the arm. And you need to understand that injuries or tightness in these muscles can affect daily activities like shifting or pushing. So this is it for pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. I hope you find this very helpful. And please, if you do, just do me a favor by hitting on the subscription button. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Hello everyone, and welcome back to GEMNIC Science. In this tutorial, we dive into the anatomy and function of a pectoralis major and minor. Here we have our roughly sketch of pectoralis major, and here we have our pectoralis minor. Notice that the pectoralis major is a large fan-shaped muscle located on the chest, and it is one of the most prominent muscles of the anterior chest wall, giving strength to the chest. And notice that the pectoralis